Hi there, I'm Andy Stevenson, and this video is the second of two videos in which I address the issue of perfect pacing in audiobook narration. So stick with me to the end of this video as I have some editing tips for you that will nail your pacing down to that level of perfection that you need as a narrator to make your audiobook sound polished and professional. Okay. So you've just laid down a dynamic emotional performance in front of your microphone. You used pauses, you varied your speed, you controlled your breath. Fantastic! I focused on all of that in part one. And now in part two, it's time to put on our editor hat and turn that great performance into a flawless one. This is where we add the polish. Tip 1. Perfecting pauses with room tone. Remember those deliberate pauses we practiced? Well, in post-production, we make them perfect. Sometimes, even with great breath control, a pause in your raw audio might sound too short or too long, or might have a tiny mouth click, a rustle of your shirt, or the faint sound of you breathing. This is where room tone becomes your secret weapon. Room tone is just the sound of your silent recording space. You don't want to use complete and total digital silence because that will sound unnatural. So during every single session, you should record a few seconds of restful quiet in your booth, either at the beginning of your recording session or at the end. This will give you some room tone, which will include the unique sound of your space, the faint hum of your computer, or the air itself. Okay, so I've just opened up Audacity and I've loaded a short clip, 30 seconds long, from a recent audiobook. It's called The Sokolov Agenda, written by the fantastic Alan McDermott. And this recording here is a raw, unedited recording. What I'm going to do is just expand that so that you can see it a bit better. Let's click the zoom in button as well, so we can take a really close look. And you'll see that at the end of the clip there is a section here which followed my final words, and that's in effect the room tone, because I stopped talking but it carried on recording the sound in the room. Not very much sound perhaps, but some sound nonetheless. Let's just play that little section back. Now you're not going to be able to hear anything, but if you keep your eyes on these indicators here, you'll see that some sound is being picked up as I play it back. Here goes. Yep, quite a bit of green flashing going on there. So there's perhaps a little bit too much background noise on that room tone section for my liking. And that happens because, maybe the traffic outside was noisier that day, or there was a howling gale swirling around the building, or a dog barking in the distance, who knows. But even if you have soundproofed your recording space, it could pick up more sound than you would ideally like on some occasions. So I've got that section selected. What I'm going to do now is to apply some noise reduction. So I click Effect, Noise Removal and Repair, Noise Reduction, and from this dialog box I'm going to click the Get Noise Profile button. So what that will do is take a profile of that section I've highlighted of the background noise and levels of noise within that little section. So I just click the Get Noise Profile button and it will have grabbed a profile of that sample, and it's hanging on to it as we speak. So what I want to now do is to apply that noise reduction based on that sample across the whole track. So select all and effect and noise removal and repair, noise reduction. But this time I'm not going to click the Get Noise Profile button. Instead, I'm going to apply some noise reduction across the whole track. And there's already entered here 10 decibels, which I think will be enough. So maybe let's just up that actually to 12, just to be on the safe side. And click OK. And the noise reduction has applied across the whole track based on that sample that I took at the end. Okay, so that's the noise reduction done. And let's just play that section again at the end, just so that you can see that the levels of interference, let's say noise interference, have gone down a little bit. So it's flashing a bit, but not quite so much. So, by the way, if you're finding this kind of deep dive into editing helpful, then do me a favour and hit that like button, and remember to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, because it's free, of course, and there will be more videos added regularly to those already available. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is to copy a section of the room tone. I'm going to take about 2 seconds worth of it. There's a little bit of there's a little bump in it there which I'm going to erase, which I don't like the look of. Still a residue of some sound despite the fact that we've applied noise reduction. Just going to take that bit out, and now I'm going to take a 2-second sample. I'm going to basically copy a 2-second piece of that room tone. So I've highlighted it, I click the copy button, and I'm now going to use that as I edit the clip, and I'll show you how. And the process that I'm going to use is called the punch and paste process. And with this 2-second chunk, you can create pauses of the appropriate length when and where you need to do so as you progress through your editing. So we'll just work through this short clip and see how we get on. So I'll start playing the clip.
The nurse left and Cooper sighed again. It's not fair.
Okay, that pause is a little bit too long. So I'm going to copy my clip of 2 seconds into there, but I'm going to shorten it down. I'm going to cut it down quite a bit. Let's just see how that sounds.
Cooper sighed again. It's not fair. I should be out getting drunk, not lying here listening to threats from an underpaid matron.
Okay, that sounded a better length of pause.
Matron. No alcohol for a few.
And that's far too long. So let's cut that down again.
From an underpaid matron. No alcohol for a few days either, man said. He unplugged Cooper's phone.
Okay, there's a little bit of a breath there. I'll just take that out.
Man said. He unplugged Cooper's phone and handed it to him.
There. Again, rather a long pause. And I think in dialogue, about a half a second pause is usually about right.
To him. There, fully charged. Watch a few movies, listen to some music.
Again, that's slightly long. Let's just take a bit out there.
Fully charged. Watch a few movies, listen to some music, whatever. You'll be home before you know it.
Okay, and let's take a chunk off the end of that, just leaving a second at the end of the clip. I had in my clipboard a 2-second chunk. In this short clip, I didn't use it. It would be unusual to use a full 2 seconds, but you've got that as an insurance. And it's useful to have a chunk of cleaned up room tone that you pinch from the end of the clip, that you can cut and paste in, trim it down to a second if you want to, half a second even, but it's useful to have that and carry it through with you as you do the editing. I think I only used it once in there, but in a much longer clip you'd probably use it several times, scores of times perhaps. Sometimes using the full 2 seconds, maybe if it's between a couple of paragraphs, but usually you'll be cutting it down. So you've got 2 seconds, which is the most that you would need. You'll generally be pasting in about half a second or 1 second maybe, depending on the situation. But let's just play the clip back now. Now that it's been edited with the appropriate length of pauses.
The nurse left and Cooper sighed again. It's not fair. I should be out getting drunk, not lying here listening to threats from an underpaid matron. No alcohol for a few days either, Man said. He unplugged Cooper's phone and handed it to him. There, fully charged. Watch a few movies, listen to some music, whatever. You'll be home before you know it.
Okay, could you hear the difference? It's undeniable really, isn't it, if you remember how the clip sounded before the pauses were largely shortened. The second version just feels a bit more polished, more confident, more professional. The story flows, the emotional moments land harder because they're framed by perfect timing. Now, at this point, I should point out that Audacity has an effect called truncate silence, and some narrators recommend using this because it allows you in one click to place a predetermined length of your prepared room silence wherever there is an existing pause or piece of silence between clips of your voice. Now, the advantage is that it significantly speeds up the editing process. However, this, in my opinion, is counterproductive to what we are trying to achieve here, because it will mean that every pause, every piece of silence between phrases that you have narrated will be the same length. And whilst a quicker way to edit, that will create a very monotonous and stereotyped recording that does not include varied pauses that recognise the drama, the emotions, the artistic impression, if you like, behind the piece. And if you want to sound like an AI recording, that's the way to do it. So I don't recommend using truncate silence. Spending more time on your editing is, I believe, really worth it. So, the secret to perfectly pacing your audiobook? Well, it isn't really a secret. It's a 2-part discipline. When you stop seeing editing as just a clean-up job and start seeing it as the final act of your performance, the quality of your work will completely transform. You'll create audiobooks that don't just tell a story, but hold the listener captive from the first word to the very last. Okay, so if you like this video, please click that thumbs up button, and please do subscribe to my channel for more free content on audiobook narrating skills, information for authors and for listeners. And if you have any comments or any questions to ask me in relation to this video, do post them up in the comments below, because I will answer them all. So, thank you for watching, and see me again soon. Bye for now.